I'm a rebel and I'm going to get it because I deserve it. That madness, that obsession to reach where I want to. Rahu gives from one hand and takes from the other. It's not that he intentionally wants to do that, but he doesn't know. He thinks he's doing good for you. This Rahu can take you heights which is very difficult to match. It gives an aspect to your fifth house, an aspect seventh and to ninth. And remember, there will be a lot of incompleteness in all those aspects. Hi guys, welcome back to Devastrology. Today we are continuing with our series of planets in all houses. And in this video, we are going to be talking about Rahu and how Rahu is going to be behaving if it is present in any of the house placements in your Vedic chart. Thank you for your love and support that you've been offering and the continuous adulation, your feedback, your comments, subscribing to my channel. I'm very, very grateful and thankful towards it. Now, what is Rahu? Rahu is an illusion, as you would have seen in the thumbnail of this video as well. It is the obsession, the confusion that he brings to the table. First and foremost, I would want to draw your attention towards the story of Rahu. Where did Rahu and Ketu originate from? Well, many of you would know that it is the story of Swarbhanu, when the great manthan of the sea, which of the oceans was going on, the churn of the oceans, when the asuras and the devatas were fighting for the nectar, for the elixir that was supposed to be out. That is when Swarb, very cleverly and deviously tried to find a means consume that nectar, to consume that elixir. And it was Surya and Chandra, sun and the moon, who went ahead and complained about Swarabhanu. And that is the reason when Vishnu reprimanded him, he had already consumed the nectar. So he had become invincible, the one who would not die. And in such circumstances, when he killed Swarabhanu with his Sudarshan Chakra, the lower half of the body, which is Ketu, fell right at his feet. And the upper half, which is known as Rahu, or the north node of the moon, which fell far apart. So the headless part of that body was known as Ketu, while the head itself, without the body, that incompleteness with which these two entities reside, came to be known as Rahu itself. Now, guys, you have to understand one very important aspect. Both of these shadow planets, Rahu and Ketu, they cast an eclipse. Ketu is the biggest enemy of the moon, and that is why he causes the lunar eclipse. While Rahu is the greatest enemy of the sun, he is the karka, he is the significator to cause the solar eclipse. Now, of course, these are anecdotal stories for us to understand and comprehend what is the impact of these shadow planets as well. And thereby, when we are trying to understand Rahu, it is very important for us to understand what are the significances of these planets. How does Rahu impact us? And that is where I started, not with this story, but with the statement that he is obsession, illusion, confusion. Why is he obsession? Because Rahu was the one who originated. It was the brainchild to go ahead and consume that nectar so that he becomes the invincible. He wanted to make sure that he is getting exactly what the Devatas were also getting. And in a way, if you ask me, it was not a wrong choice. It was not a bad thing to do because the Devatas were trying to clever at that point in time. They were trying to safeguard everything for themselves. And the Asuras had worked equally hard for the same outcome. So Swarbhanu thought, why is it not fair for us also to consume the same amount at the same time? But he was being treated as an outcast. as a foreign element. And that is why, folks, a lot of times, so many YouTube channels, so many astrologers, so many ancient books will keep on calling this thing out to you, that Rahu depicts foreign connection, because he was the only one who was able to consume that nectar, consume that elixir. And he was an outcast. The Devatas did not want him in that coterie, in that group, in that selected set of people who would consume it. But Rahu still managed to do it with his own willpower, with his own cleverness, which is a lot of times you would have noticed I use these kind of words, terminology to highlight what sort of a behavior comes out when Rahu is having a key impact in your chart. So Rahu is the one that denotes that obsession to achieve some goal. It shows that illusion. Mayavi is the word which is used in Hindi for this. Illusion. And what does illusion mean? Something which is non-fathomable, something which is not fathomable, something which is not conceivable to a normal brain, which means that when we are talking about modern era of technology, when we are talking about inventions which are not so easily known and understood, they are also comprehended through Rahu. Until they become mainstream, they are comprehended through Rahu. And that is the reason, folks, that illusion is the reason, that Maya is the reason, that AI, digital technologies, smart technologies, IoT related products are all seen from Rahu, through Rahu. So, hope you get a perspective as to why that derivative is coming out in modern astrology. Because Rahu is that Mayavi energy, that illusion that he carries with himself. And because he knows something which is mystic by nature, mysticism also comes with Rahu. He knows something which is not known to the common, which is unknown for everyone else. He has the ability to cast confusion, to give a swing to the same situation that it is hard for anybody else to comprehend. And that is when you say that, okay, Rahu is coming to my head. I might get confused. It is coming on top of my mind, is impacting my mood. And now my decision making could get influenced. It is that confusion which comes with this Rahu. I alluded to a couple of other words as well. Because Rahu has this incompleteness, he is just the mind, but the body is not there. He can consume things, but he doesn't have the ability to digest it. So he doesn't know how much he has to consume. There is no appetite, or there is infinite appetite, right? And when that is happening, then there is no level of satisfaction that can ever creep in. This Rahu will not be able to ever satisfy his hunger, quench his thirst for success. Thereby, it gives unlimited ambition as well. It gives unrestricted ambition to a person who's driven by Rahu, because this person doesn't know where to stop. What is it that is pushing me to the zenith? And that Rahu is going to bring that level of dissatisfaction as well, because there is going to be excessive amount of ambition, unlimited, unfathomable amount of materialism as well, which will at the end of the day also lead to dissatisfaction. There is an incompleteness with this Rahu. He knows how to consume but doesn't know how to digest. So you know how to chase a dream, you know how to be ambitious, but what do you do when you reach there, or in your journey as well? What do you do as you keep, accomplishing milestones? How do you cherish that? That abundance, that prosperity which we talk about, even with limited means, even with scarcity, that Jupiter gives. Both of them are expansion planets, guys. But that abundance, that satisfaction, that contentment that you get from Jupiter, even if you have a small drop, is not that you will get when Rahu is at work, because he is going to act like the same expansive mindset of Jupiter. But his expansion is more materialistic in nature. It is very ambitious in nature, but doesn't know where to get satisfied. It has no end, it has no limits. It doesn't understand boundaries. He is a breaker of boundaries. He breaks barriers. You called me an outcast and you did not let me consume that elixir.
that nectar, I'm going to break that boundary. I'm going to break the protocols. I'm a rebel. That is what that Rahu is. I'm a rebel and I'm going to get it because I deserve it. That madness, that obsession to reach where I want to. And that is why in the modern world, some of the most extraordinary achievements are to those people who have an extraordinary Rahu. Or one of the biggest achievement or the best achievements of your life can also come in your life when you are running through that dasha antardasha of Rahu. Because this Rahu doesn't know where to stop. He doesn't know what boundaries are, what limits are. He wants to breach all boundaries and he wants to achieve those goals. Beautiful in a way, isn't it? It's beautiful in a way, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous because he doesn't know. It's like a child. He doesn't know that the iron is hot. He wants to touch, he wants to explore, he wants to figure out what it is. Again, breach the boundary of the unknown. He doesn't realize he could get burnt. Capacity to digest is not there. And that is where, because he's casting that illusion, because he's pushing that fast, he will burn you. And that is the reason, folks, go back and visit my videos, be it transit, be it other Rahu discussions that I've done, that Rahu gives from one hand and takes from the other. It's not that he intentionally wants to do that, but he doesn't know. He thinks he's doing good for you. He will bring the habits of smoking, expose you to alcoholism, all forms of intoxication. Because he thinks, if you think from Rahu Dev's perspective, now I'll give him a bit more respect. If you think from Rahu Dev's perspective, he is thinking, I'm doing good for this guy, for this girl. Like I'm on top of his house and I want to reward him through this means. Let me shower him with, um, all amenities that I like. Let him smoke, let him consume some liquor, let him get intoxicated, let him have this illusion of wealth and money and let him chase his dreams. But he doesn't realize that the iron is hot, so you could get burnt as well. That's what is going to happen with this Rahu. So that dissatisfaction is always going to be there. It is that smoke. Remember, it's a shadowy planet. When you walk under the light of the sun, the smoke, the shadow follows you. But do you know what is the real shape of a body just by looking at the shadow? A shadow could be 20 feet tall, or it could be just 1 feet in size, but your actual height could be 6 feet. Can you decipher from your shadow as to what is the original body? No, you need light for that. You need Surya, you need Jupiter for that. But if it is just the game of the shadow, it is a game of illusions, and that is what Rahu is. He's smoking. Any object that, emits smoke, a chimney, the silencer of a car or a motorcycle, that emits that smoke is Rahu, but product from which it is coming out is Ketu for you. That is how in the material life you can dip from physical senses as well as to what is Rahu and Ketu for you. But you have to understand the significances at a philosophical level as well, guys. And I'm assuming as you are grasping and growing this channel, you will start to appreciate that perspective too, that illusion, that smokiness is something that you cannot feel. It is there, visible to you somehow, but it is not real. It's going to vanish. It's going to vanquish away from your eyes. And that is what this Rahu can do for you. That ambition that you are chasing might not be real. The touch and feel of it may not be there. And you might not realize that what it can lead to. But if your journey is right, if your process is right, this is the beauty of Rahu and Ketu, because that journey, that process is seen through Ketu. If you've not understood that, go back and watch that Ketu video. I highlighted that bit in the Ketu video as well. Very specifically, you have to focus on the process, because Rahu is going to show you the destination. He is going to talk about the larger ambition, the larger objective, the goal. But it's the journey which is what Ketu wants you to enjoy. You see, they are going in the same track, but they are pulled apart. Not poles apart, but yes, in a way. So Rahu depicts dissatisfaction. It depicts that smoke. It showcases spirituality as well, because it's the other side of the coin. It's the flip of the coin of Ketu. So spirituality has to stick with Rahu as well. But it comes with mysticism, comes in the form of Tantra. If Ketu will denote mantra for you, if Ketu is going to denote liberation for you, Rahu is going to denote bondage. Spirituality for Rahu will be by achieving materialism, by getting closely knit into your bonds, into your goals, into your desires, so that when you are satisfied with that, that is when you you find the release of spiritualism from Rahu. And that is how the the meaning of spirituality becomes different for Rahu and for Ketu. So Rahu wants to bind you, he wants to control you, he wants to, confuse you by giving you an imaginary picture of what could be real. So that once you have that perception in place, that is when he says that I'm going to reward you with the outcomes of spiritualism, with the outcomes of satisfaction of spiritualism after you satisfy yourself with materialism. It is your ambition, it is your karmic lessons as well. Many of you would notice, you look at the nakshatras of Rahu, Shatabisha, Ardra, biggest nakshatra of transformation. I've seen so many people coming in Ardra nakshatra, struggling in life, going through some of the most difficult periods in their lives. And why is it so? Because it is Rahu that brings that karmic lesson to your life. It is the nakshatra of Rahu that brings that karmic lesson in your life. And yes, we've always eluded and associated those transformative journeys with Ketu, with his association of Scorpio. But it is Rahu as well that can bring some of the biggest materialistic challenges of your life. And unlike Ketu, which detaches you, Rahu is going to immerse you into it and make you fight those battles. He would not let you escape them. So if you are into that cycle of Rahu, it is very hard for you to escape those battles. You get immersed, involved, included in those battles for a lifetime. And it can be equally transformative as well. So Rahu denotes that ambition, it denotes materialism, it denotes karmic lessons through your involvement in materialism. It denotes the obsession that you can build, the illusion that you might gain, the confusion that might come to you. And hence, the dissatisfaction as well is seen from this Rahu. This Rahu will tell you that what is the outcast. And when you see the meaning of outcast, it means as an outcast. So construct, for people who are doing those kind of activities within the society, within the community, your underworld can be seen from Rahu. Any kind of negative criminal activities will have some sort of an association with Rahu, a strong presence. And then impacting that through Mars, its combination, that Angaraka Yoga is going to come into play. Some of the biggest scams will come into play when that Rahu is in eclipse or casting that eclipse on that Surya. Some of the most lowly activities will happen because of that association. Some of the most threatening situations, Pishach Yuga, as they say, comes into play with Rahu and Saturn's connection, where your career could be upside down. Some of the most crazy, you know, physical activities, romantic activities, sexual activities could come into play with the connection of Rahu and Venus. Could be as wild as taking you to the, degrees of prostitution, right? Of course, Ketu also has a role to play, but what I'm trying to make is that Rahu takes you to the extremes. It makes you do things that are wild, unimaginative, and at a large scale, only to realize that was it worth it or not. And with that, folks, if you understand what this Rahu is, you will now understand what this Rahu brings to the table in different houses of your chart. So let's get started to analyze what happens when it moves to specific placements. So now when Rahu gets into the first house, what we see is that some of this energy comes naturally to a person in their personality, in their character. Of course, the sign dependent is going to be absolutely critical. It is also important for you to understand that how and where is the dispositor of your Lagna Lord, or sorry, the dispositor of Rahu plays in the chart. Lagna Lord's position is going to be absolutely critical in this case. Dignity position of Surya or Mars is also something that you will have to understand. And if there's any aspect conjunction which is coming into play with that too, because naturally Mars has some bit of first house energy which he's responsible for. But Rahu's presence here is going to make a person ambitious. You will have large goals in life. You will be a person who would be chasing dreams, Rahu's presence here is going to give you that larger than life personality mindset, at least to begin with. But how much you are going to expose that mindset, express that mindset to the larger world, also depends on your ability of your third house or Mercury in the chart. That extrovert introvert nature of this Rahu is going to be dependent on external factors too, and hence the dispositor also becomes very critical. But you will notice that people with Rahu in the Lagna will be having goals. They will chase certain dreams. They will be materialistic by nature. And their materialism will be driven towards everything about themselves. And interestingly, here, of course, Ketu will be sitting in the seventh. So that level of dissatisfaction and the aspect of Rahu also towards the seventh will bring some level of incompleteness in their romantic affairs, in their sexual matters, in their partnerships. Challenges will come from that particular aspect. You will have different than normal norms in terms of your principles, in terms of your religious beliefs. You will be a rebel. You want to disrupt, you want to question. You will be an outcast at times yourself because you will see the principles coming in from your father, from your family, from a different lens. You would want to question them at times as to what makes sense for you and what not. Now, that necessarily doesn't mean that you are going to pick a different religion. Please do not confuse religious beliefs with spirituality. But your principle, your belief system could be different. You will have some sort of an association with the foreign, with the unknown. And that is where I mentioned principle first to begin with. Not everybody with Rahu in the first house leaves their hometown and starts living abroad. No. Even if you're living in your city, if you're living in the place you were born, in the country, in the town, you will still have some sort of a mindset where you challenge what you're undergoing here. You could be living in a small town, but you will have the personality of a big town, big city person. Your approach towards life could be something of that sort. You would feel alienated even at that place. You would feel, what the hell people are doing around me? They've got to do something different. And that is the risk of this Rahu, because sometimes it can give that extreme ambition as well as illusion to you about yourself. Whilst the others would consider that this person thinks way too big of themselves. They're self obsessed. Like one of the persons in the comment put, Dave, you sound self obsessed. I do not have Rahu in my Lagna. I have one of the strong Rahu placements. If you are listening, my friend. And the last thing is, I am obsessed because I have multiple debilitations in my chart. But debilitations are good. Sometime when you look at it, you will understand why do I say that. But this is the risk with Rahu. Right now, Rahu is in transit in Lagna for many of us. It can give us illusions. And that is why it is important, folks. You have to understand that if you are under that influence, it is very hard for you to understand, for us to understand what is happening to us. So you need the proper counsel of your dispositor or the Jupiter. And that is why one of the best remedies, guys, you will not find this remedy anywhere else. You have to understand this thing. One of the best remedy for people with Rahu in the Lagna is that you must listen to a counsel in life. Jupiter is the only one that can control things. Now, that counsel can be anybody. That counsel could be your spouse if she is or he is a spiritual person, because Ketu is bang opposite to it. That counsel could be your ninth house, but you will have always, opposition, rebel to your ninth, to your father, to your bosses. Figure out where that Jupiter is sitting. It could be a Dev here preaching you, giving you this thought process. An astrologer, for that matter, can come from any quarters of life. But when you have Rahu in the Lagna, you will have to figure out that where you can derive that counsel from. You will have to be, taking precautions towards your health with Rahu in the Lagna. Yes, it makes you larger than life character. You have the ability to demolish your enemies. You can overcome any challenge because you don't know what the limits are. You are able to breach the boundaries. That is the best part of this Rahu. While I was smiling when I was talking about it at the start of the video, guys. But the challenge is that somewhere you will know that where you need to fine tune yourself. And that is where the counsel bit comes into play. You could take head on battles because you believe in that self belief is existent with this Rahu. There is an obsession, but you need to know where to draw the line, and you will not be able to tell that to yourself. But if this is a strong Rahu, well placed Rahu, giving you good outcomes, if you are not indulged in intoxication activities, if you are a person who's keeping your surroundings clean, your table, your home. I have very few shots, but I've put a shot for Rahu for sure. Watch that out after this. I've talked about this aspect. So if you're taking care of those bits, then this Rahu is also going to ensure that you achieve the outcomes and you are in control of those outcomes too. You will like foods of different kinds. You will be open towards foreign culture. You will be open towards foreign elements in your personality itself. You might enjoy watching movies, songs, listening to music which are outside of your culture. Please bear with my throat, guys. I'm still not keeping well and recovering. So, this Rahu is going to give you, it's going to give you some level of openness. It is going to make you different from people in your surroundings. And it is not a bad thing. But if you are able to find that right belief system around you, that counsel around you, this Rahu can take you heights which is very difficult to match. It gives an aspect to your fifth house, an aspect seventh and to ninth. And remember, there will be a lot of incompleteness in all those aspects. Some or the other way, you will see you will be a romantic person at heart, but incompleteness, unfulfillment in that area, dissatisfaction in marriage, dissatisfaction with your father or maybe with your bosses at work, from the belief system, as I said before, some kind of a hurdle coming in your education, in your childbirth, challenges related to your relationships with your children. All these possibilities are definitely that can creep into your life, and you will have to figure out some way or the other if your Lagna Lord is placed well, and if you can learn to rule what your Lagna Lord is depicting you. Maybe if it has an aspect back to this Rahu, then things can be dramatically beautiful. Now, when Rahu is in the second house, this Rahu is going to make you bring that expansion, that illusion, that pull towards matters of second house. You could, first of all, be born in a large family in itself. You could be born in a large clan, so to speak, surrounded by many people. Now, not everybody will have each of these traits. So you have to understand that some of it might be applicable to you and some of it not. But more often than not, there were times when families would have multiple children and then they would live in joint family cultures across the world. It's not just specific part of Asia, India, Europe, South America, you can name it. And that was the culture all around the world. So Rahu with second house would give the possibility a lot of times people being stay born in those joint family, large family setups. You could be born in a place where you have a joint family setup, large number of people, or you could be born in a house in a family that has a big house. That is also a possibility that comes into play. This Rahu will give you the possibility of being born into a family where you have a foreign element. Your parents could be from different backgrounds, or they have been living in a foreign place. That is the early, it gives you the openness to try different kinds of foods, cuisines. And more importantly, it exposes one more towards non-vegetarian, or I should say, tamasic sort of food. You would enjoy rich food, heavy food which is prepared with a lot of which requires a lot of preparation, marination over a night, then doing different kinds of activities. And I'm not a chef, I don't understand that process well, but the point I'm trying to make is the process of preparing a particular cuisine, a particular dish which takes time, is something that you will really appreciate. Like the craft of food making, which involves nurturing that food and makes it rich in taste, is going to excite with people. You will have, big gluttonous food habit, consumption of food a lot in this space. It makes you a very talkative personality as well. You would like to talk a lot, express a lot of your thoughts, your expressions, emotions within your family, in your informal environment, to the people at your home. That is something that they naturally could do. But when Rahu is in the second house, more often than not, I've observed that it gives sort of turbulence, some sort of difficulty in the initial part of life in your family. There is some kind of a discomfort that creeps in, especially in your childhood, where there are a lot of misunderstandings, sometimes division of property, sometimes division of assets. Yes, we are talking about a planet which brings in expansion. So it is going to result into expansion of wealth, consumption of more food, but at the same time, it takes away. So it has a tendency of breaking up. It brings in confusion. Fight over wealth within family is possible with a Rahu in the second house. It gives an obsession towards money for you to become rich. You could, again, like first house, you want to set up large goals, but it is with respect to the kind of money you want to save, the money you want to build. It is giving an aspect to the sixth house as well. So it gives you the ability to demolish your enemies, overcome the challenges that are coming to your life. But there is an incompleteness when it comes with respect to the joint assets with your partner, with your in laws. Some kind of a hidden secret always bothers you, troubles you in some shape or form. Rahu here also gives an aspect to the 10th house, which is a very interesting one because it will give you the ability to act smart, shrewd, clever to overcome the challenges at your workplace. You are a street smart person when it comes to your profession, and you know how to use your smartness to overcome the problems and make money out of it. So you will be extremely good from that perspective. It has a stronger aspect towards the sixth house. Your ability to overcome your challenges, demolish your enemies is going to be strong. You are going to do very well in professions related to these activities. Money making can be good when it comes to law profession, when it comes to banking profession. You could be a trader as well with Rahu's presence in the second house. In any kind of activity which involves you facing challenges on day-to-day basis can be a part of your job profile, or you would enjoy a job profile that requires that kind of it. Now, when the Rahu is in the third house, this is an extremely exciting position, guys, because here Rahu is coming into the house of speech, formal communication, formal expression. It is coming into the house where he gets the ability to express himself. A lot of times you will see that Rahu in the third brings a person very strong, extroverted character. You are very expressive, confident. You see how Virat Kohli plays the game of cricket? He was in Australia and he was talking to the Aussies in the language Aussies understand. Sledge for a sledge. And I know a lot of Aussies watch this. Guys, I love you. Okay. I know you guys give so much love, support, and you come for consultations. Nothing against it. It's just the cultural bit that I'm trying to refer here. Um, but it's the beauty, right? In a place where it has to give that expression, magnitude, it naturally comes with this Rahu. He's expressive when it comes to anything that requires physical labor. Your efforts in general are going to be magnanimous in size. You will not want to pick up small challenges, small problems. You are going to be, if you are an athlete, you are going to try and do the level best possible to your physical ability. Again, the dispositor of Rahu is critical to note where is he sitting, and Mercury as well in this case. But you want to do it big. You want to make it big. You want to go aggressive in terms of announcing yourself to the world. If you are in a formal job, the way you are articulating your language and communicating, perhaps you can look that in your detail as well. You will get an understanding how this Rahu is placing out from that perspective too. You will be very clever in terms of your formal communication and articulating your thought process to make things happen. Very good placement for somebody who wants to be in public relationship work because you are shrewd, clever, smart. Dispositor has to be good. And signs are very important for Rahu. We will talk about that as the next series itself. Now, this Rahu will also bring you the possibility of staying in large neighborhoods. You would want to stay in communities which are very posh by nature, or you could be the one who's trying to explore neighborhoods where you come in contact with diversity. You could end up living in places where people of different cultures are amalgamated, and it gives you an exposure. Some of the largest cities will give you that possibility, and you would want to stay in such communities that gives you that interaction. You will prefer more of physical hobbies, sports over games. At the same time, it also brings the risk of disassociation with your siblings at times. Some of you can go back and check with your parents if they have miscarriages, some kind of issues with their mother in this placement. You will get a lot of surprising answers, my friend. Now, this Rahu is also giving an aspect to the seventh house, remember. So, and this aspect is a strong one. So, you could be inclined towards partners coming in from different background than yours. Love marriage is becoming a serious possibility with Rahu's this aspect here. At the same time, there will be turbulence, that rebel like behavior of you coming into play when discussing the principles, the areas of agreement, belief system with your father, with your family. There could be a misalignment of some sort. You might not disrespect your father. Mind you, what I'm trying to say here. But you may choose to agree to disagree. You are a smart player, you know how to communicate your thoughts. So you will choose to agree to disagree and have your own belief system in place. But at the same time, this Rahu is giving an aspect, oh my gosh, to the 11th house. You are a materialistic person when it comes to pushing your effort, energy into anything you want to chase, in your goals, in your objectives. Your desires will be big and you want to achieve them. You want to leave no stone unturned. But at the same time, remember, Ketu will be giving an aspect to the Lagna. So things are going to, it's beauty with this axis of Rahu and Ketu. Again, go back and listen to what Ketu is doing bang opposite to this. It's a beauty because now you will realize that conflicting ideas would also come into play with Rahu and Ketu's presence. So there will be that push and pull towards the desires, but towards your partner, that energy will be stronger in terms of having that particular choice of partner versus any other desire in your life. Remember, the fifth aspect I always consider to be much stronger than the ninth one in case of Rahu and Ketu. So, some sort of effort, energy, hard work will also go towards what is karmic in your life. It's like you will also be doing some kind of payback with Rahu's placement in this house. That is also very much possible. But people who want to pursue sports, who want to pursue media relationships, who want to do social media based YouTube, Instagram led channels, who want to be sports person, something that brings in fame, that demands extraordinary amount of willpower, courage, ambition. Rahu third house is a place where you will be able to succeed with that. All right. Now, when Rahu is in the fourth house, this is another interesting position, but it's a complicated one with Ketu's presence in the 10th house. Now, Rahu in the fourth, first and foremost, is coming to a house where you are bringing in confusion, you are bringing in illusion to emotions, to sensitivity. And I told you at the start of the video, you need to, guys, if you are skipping parts and jumping into this session, you will not get the essence of it. Trust me. But if you listen to the initial bit, I called out one very important characteristic in detail, and I'll just allude to that. That enemy of moon is Ketu, while that of sun is Rahu. So in this case, Rahu is coming over the natural ownership of moon. You have to see the dignity placement of moon in your chart. And you have to also understand the dispositor and position of your fourth lord. I have done a lot of the houses videos. You must go back and check. And now listen to all these videos in conjunction. You will understand what's happening in your chart. So it will bring in confused personality to a certain extent. You will have some confusion in decision making at times, especially when you get emotional. I'm not talking about that you are a dumb person and you don't have a logical thinking. No, you're a smart person. Again, Rahu is coming into the fourth house. When it comes to shrewdness, you could be a very shrewd, straight, smart person. But the point I'm trying to make is when you get emotional, that is when you can get cheated. You can be taken for a ride. You can be misunderstood. People might misconstrue what you are trying to communicate. And not necessarily you are an evil person. Some of you could be, but not necessarily you are an evil person. And there is a lot of misinterpretation that also comes, especially when you are taking matters at heart, when you're talking about emotions, when you're talking about peace, when you're showcasing your generosity. So you will have to take a note of it. Your mother could be a person who has had exposure of different kinds. She might have settled later in life at a different place. She could have had a marriage with your father who's from a different background or community. Your mother herself could be coming from a different community, or she might have had her, uh, uh, birth in some other location, which made her shift and settle in a new place. There could be a difference in background, considerable difference in economic background of your parents with this Rahu in place. So that is another interesting a bit that comes here. Now, when Rahu is in the fourth, it will also give you the ability to acquire a lot of knowledge. Like you have such a repository maintained in your head. You've been adding wealth of knowledge to yourself. And you could be very sound in terms of technology. You could be very sound in terms of grasping new subjects. People around you would not be picking those subjects. I mean, some of you who have the ability of picking up biology along with mathematics, somebody who picks up English literature along with history and political science and geography as well. That kind of a character who has the ability to combine variety of subjects and consume them. And you could be smart. Now, how much of that will you be able to exercise depends on your of your lagna as well as your fourth house. You could be interested in building big assets. This is opposite to that Ketu sitting in 10th, because you might want a bigger house, you might want a bigger car, multiple cars, multiple assets. And this Rahu can give you that. He bestows that as well. It can, in a turbulent situation, bring in habits towards gambling. It brings the possibility of a person lose it all. That sort of a situation can happen as well. Guys, very tricky. This Rahu will be giving an eighth aspect. So hidden affairs, hidden situations, especially if somehow Venus connection also comes into play, that can be a tricky problem here. Interest with the underworld, interest in affairs that should not be pursued in public knowledge could be a part of your life. And it can also bring in international settlement. It can bring you settlement in a foreign land, foreign country. You might end up buying a house and settling abroad somewhere, because not only it forms the connection with the 12th house, he is also bringing in gains. He's the lord of 11th house naturally. And you have to see the connection with Aquarius in your chart. That element will come into your uh, Rahu as well. And when we will talk about signs, I will double click and elaborate on that bit too. So this Rahu can act beautifully in terms of that expansion, growth, wealth management, that foreign connection and stuff, but it can also bring a lot of decline, both moral as well as spiritual or physical. Can make you an outcast in your own family. So you will have to look in deep dive and understand which in this axis is playing a more powerful role. Now, we will talk about Rahu in the fifth house. Interesting position, strong position. Ketu is in 11th. When Rahu is coming in the fifth house, it is coming into the house of romance. It is coming into the house of education. It is coming into the house of your children. It is coming into the house of investments. And please don't be assuming only positive or only negative results, because there are parts of your life in this sphere that can be amazingly great, and some of them can be abysmally bad. You will have the probability of pursuing higher education, say in a foreign land, foreign country. You might go to an international university and pursue your BTech, MS, design, whatever courses in a foreign land, in a foreign country. You live in Europe, you travel to US and you do your studies there in humanities. That sort of a possibility comes into play. It can bring you stupendous music interest in creative areas, but your interest here in creative areas will be very modern by nature, will be outcast in a way. You could be very imaginative. Abstract paintings, abstract music, abstract design could attract you. You could be that person. If you are listening to this, say you are a restaurateur, you're a business person, you will make your restaurant of a theme which is not from your place. If you're an American restaurant, you will present yourself to be a Chinese cuisine expert, something of that sort. You will take a different path. You like to play metal music, you are going to combine that in terms of different rhythms you get in modern world through AI music generators or through digital beats and stuff. Now, I don't understand music as well. There are so many nuances, guys. But if you are a musician and if you're listening to this, that violin play could be coupled with a tabla. You understand different forms. different frequencies, different waves you can mingle together. As a student, as I said, you can mingle in your subjects and acquire different kind of knowledge. You could pick up botany along with mathematics. Not many will dare to do that. You could. You have the strength and the ability to do it, guys. Your romance could be plethora in numbers. You could be a Casanova or whatever is the word for the females that you want to use, but you could have that ability in you. You could date many people, or you could have an affair that is the talk of the town, just one single love affair, and everybody in the city knew, in the town knows, this was the couple, this was the guy, he was madly in love and she was madly in love, and this is what they did. Those kind of stories this Rahu can bring in. Now you wanna figure out what you wanna utilize. Do you want to have that sort of a fame with this Rahu, even in your love affairs, in your romance? Or do you want to decline and sleep around? Where this Rahu can take you is your choice. Because Ketu is also giving an aspect. He's watching. Remember that it's a game of the axis. So it can be a very interesting position of Rahu. It can make you imaginative to the wild. You can bring in ideas which are hard for people to imagine. You can solve problems in ways which is unfathomable. You can bring in conquests in your life, in the kind of business you do, your investment strategies for that matter, they could be surprising to people. But you can be very clever. You can build in your own, I wouldn't say algorithms, but mechanism, your framework to design your investment strategy. You might like a crypto or a combination of that with gold, which is very traditional, old school way of investment, combining it with bonds. And we can have a separate discussion on that as to how Rahu can, impact your investment strategies. But it can be beautiful. And Rahu from here also makes you a rebel. See, it is coming into a house of past life punya. One of the readings I recently did, we had an amazing discussion on Mahabharata about this. And she left a very kind testimonial on my Instagram channel as well. But, Rahu here, it is coming into into the house of past life punya. This house is ninth from the ninth. And Rahu from here is giving an aspect, a very strong aspect to your ninth house. So you could be rebel in your choices, in your dharmic way, in your spiritual way as well. Other religions, other beliefs, other faiths could attract you. It's a planet of tantra sitting in the house of mantra. So you could run towards gaining siddhi. That's a beautiful thing that happens with this Rahu. It gives an aspect to that Ketu sitting in the 11th as well. So he will try and push those desires, but it depends how you're running with your Ketu and his dispositor. Understand the Ketu video as well and figure out what's happening out for you and leave some comments. I would like to learn from you guys. It's a very interesting access, folks. And then this Rahu gives an aspect to your Lagna as well. It gives an aspect where it casts that confusion. Is your belief system right, or the one that you are questioning? Or the one now you are alluding towards, leaning towards? Is that religion telling you the right thing? Is that the right path for spirituality? Am I right being a rebel? Are my investment strategies right? Should I be dating this girl or moving on to the next one? You see how the confusion arises and how each and every aspect of the fifth gets impacted? Well, that is Rahu for you in the fifth house. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, when Rahu comes into the sixth house, Rahu has come into the house of turmoil. It has come into the house of challenges, health issues. It has come into the house of chores. It has come into the house of pain, litigation, loans. It has come again to face the situation when the Devatas are saying, you will be denied that elixir. You will not be getting that nectar to drink. And Rahu doesn't like it. Rahu doesn't like it. He's not happy when he is being treated, looked down upon. He wants to give a fight. And that is why he manifests. He manifests success for himself here in the sixth house. Now this Rahu is going to bring in that illusion, that obsession along with him, but to manipulate. So your Rahu here in the sixth house creates one of the most powerful, strong, stupendous Shatruhanta yogas. Yes, it is very important for us to understand the sign of Rahu in this place as well. And for that, we will be doing a series as well as understand where is the dispositor of your sixth house. What is the position of maybe even Mercury? It is important for you to note that here. Because when Rahu is in the sixth house, he is open to put up a fight, and a strong one, but he is not going to fight right at the face. He is going to use the battleground which he thinks he should fight on. He will choose the direction of his attack which he feels he is going to have the best chance to win at. And therefore, you will realize that with this Rahu placement, a lot of time you will face disappointment too. Nobody talks about this. It will bring you in phases of adversity, and you might have to lose the battle to win the war. Rahu wants to win the war here, guys, and he will be ready to lose the battle. He is shrewd, he is smart, he knows what he is doing. When you set a goal for this Rahu, when you give a direction to your life to this Rahu, he will tell you exactly what is required to reach to that destination. This Rahu can be that powerful, and that is why people love it. Because Ketu is giving another level of growth to the 12th house placement as well. And if you have not, go ahead and watch that too. And that is where this axis becomes the most powerful axis in the chart. Because this Rahu knows where to take a step back and when to attack. This Rahu knows that where you are lagging in terms of your health. And yet it gives you the risk of getting into habits of intoxication. Did you miss the initial part of the video? If you missed, if you're enjoying this, you must listen to the first part of the video too. Because it will give you a lot of clarity to understand that Rahu first, before you understand the impact of Rahu in 6th. But if you do, you will see that whilst it is giving you all the sharpness, it is also going to hurt you from a health perspective. And God forbid, if the dispositor is not in a good situation, this can bring a lot of negative effects as well with this same placement. He's giving an aspect to the 10th house, makes you smart in terms of your karma. You know when you have to put your effort. Smart work over hard work is what you might always choose. Now, Saturn, Mars, their dignity will tell if you are combining that smart work with hard work as well or not. So that is another thing that you will learn over a period of time. He gives an aspect to the 12th. Somewhere or the other, he attracts more enemies. While he is busy tackling the obstacles that he has at hand, he will attract more of them. But Ketu is a savior with that placement. And then this Rahu also gives an aspect to your second house. He is going to protect, expand on your wealth, on your savings as well. You must listen to what happens with Rahu in the second house. That foodie behavior, that talkative behavior will also come to you with this Rahu. You like to talk a lot, express yourself, be in interactions, enjoying different kinds of food. All right. I hope you guys have enjoyed as to what Rahu does to you when it is in the 6th house. Now, when Rahu is coming into the 7th house, this is an interesting position because Ketu was now sitting in the 1st house itself. 7th house Rahu is a Rahu which is going into your house of marriage, into your house of partnership, into your house of spouse. It can denote what sort of a married life you can have, what sort of characteristics in your partner you could see, what sort of a business partnerships that you could leverage. And it could also show the ill effects that can come into your marriage or in your partner. For example, this can give a possibility of that cheating behavior. The partner could have a tendency to acquire gains or fulfill their desires to whatever they would want without involving you. And which means it could give them the intent of not just having affair, because that is one possibility, but allude into any activity without your knowledge. Now, to them, their justification is or could be that they are doing it without the will of hurting you. But somehow that nature of hiding, cheating, going behind the back is a possibility that could be seen in your partner. On the other side, could make your partner a street smart, very good communicator, very strong in terms of their personality, very outgoing, extroverted. So they could represent that in their career, in their life, in their profession. They could rise up the ladder. They could be at the top brass in multinational companies, in international companies. They could work with people at international levels who are coming in from different backgrounds and give them a personality where they are exposed to different kind of cultures. It could also make them a foreigner for you. It could be making them a person as an outcast coming in from a different community than yours. And thereby, a lot of times people thus conclude that this Rahu can give you a foreign wife or a foreign husband as well. Now, this Rahu is going to also bring the possibility of you breaking norms. Remember, I said that as the part of my thumbnail as well. It is innovative in marriage. It is trying to break barriers, break boundaries. He is ambitious. So, love marriage possibility can also come to this kind of a Rahu. You can do love marriage as well. And you could only, like, you would be very, because Rahu's aspect to the seventh is going to be that of a rebellious tone. So, you would want to go beyond your background, your personality, your family to go and achieve something through that marriage, through that romance, through that partner. But also could make you good in the marketplace, because seventh house is marketplace as well. And that is why this Rahu and 1-7 axis can be an extraordinary axis for business relationships, for a person to become a businessman and enterprising personality. Very successful person in terms of their career. Remember, seventh house is 10th from 10th. Rahu is going to enjoy it like x to the power of x. That is what the pleasure of this Rahu can be. And thus, it can make you also have a personality, because you are such a witty person in the marketplace. Your marketplace could not just be the desire of money, it could be desires in any other shape and form as well. And hence, cheating tendencies can come to you as well, even though that Ketu is present in the Lagna. See the beauty of astrology as to how axis is operating. This Rahu brings in a lot of desires, ambitions, goals, objectives because of its strong aspect in the fifth. He wants to chase that, he wants to achieve it. And at the same time, he will try to cast some level of illusion, some level of confusion on your mind as well. But it gives you the ability to put great magnitude of efforts, your hard work, your communication, because you are standing in the marketplace. You see how you are standing in the seventh. That is why your third is also getting impacted with that ninth aspect. How will you be successful in marketplace when you are a good communicator, when you are working hard, when you are trying to be with foreign elements as well, international elements as well, going out of your comfort zone? And that is the beauty of how the aspect positioning of this axis is working for you guys. If it resonates, guys, please drop comments, share what your feedback is, and share, subscribe, help the channel grow, folks. I need that support. All right. Now, when Rahu is in the 8th house, this is a placement where Ketu will be sitting in the second. Now, 8th house Rahu is a Rahu where foreign connections, smart uh, mindset of innovation, exploring something to like exploring the unknown is coming into the 8th house of unknown itself, coming into the house of transformation, coming into the house of discovery, coming into the house of self learning, coming into a place where you have sudden growth or sudden loss depicted. And this Rahu is going to be a magnifier. The kind of success and failures that you can get, your stock market investment jumps overboard, or you lose a lot of amount in terms of your investment strategies. This Rahu is going to tell that because it's giving an aspect the second too. So that suddenness and that sudden impact in your life could bring in that transformation too, where you can completely change in terms of your family life, your personality, or whatever that is getting affected. But remember, transformation will be a theme with Rahu coming in here. And that is why Martian energies, position of Mars and the dispositor of Rahu, 8th Lord, is also very, very critical. And you have to go and check back your 8th Lord video to understand this position. So now, this Rahu can give you a very long life. It can add to your age. It can bring in magnitude in terms of years. And you could live really long, but it could also give you some very secretive hidden tendencies. Being shrewd, being, you know, street smart, trying to cheat people, something of that sort, where you want to get more bang on the buck for myself. You want a 60 or 70% share versus what you would want to give to the market. That sort of a placement is going to be coming with Rahu in the 8th. It is going to be giving an aspect, fifth aspect to your 12th house. So you bring some level of spirituality as well to the table here. You will have some sort of foreign connection in life, either through your profession or through your career, or in terms of travel, or in terms of spirituality, or in terms of bed pleasure as well, in terms of connection, or unknown gains coming into you. You could have some foreign element involvement in your family, in terms of value system, in terms of belief system, or with your in-laws. So this placement of Rahu also gives the possibility of getting married to somebody out of a love affair or out of a different community, with different background, which, like Rahu 7th was also indicating. And this Rahu also gives the possibility for a person to go away from their birthplace, go and settle away in a foreign location itself, build a house in a foreign location, or wealth gains from a foreign location would happen with this placement too. Now, when Rahu is coming into the ninth house, it is coming into the house of dharma. It is coming into the house of spirituality, into the house of religion, father, value system, belief system, principles. And Rahu will be a rebel. He is going to be a manipulator. He is going to try and adjust this position to his best advantage. He would get attracted towards foreign lands, far distances. It would give the ability for a person to go and travel or even settle at occasions in foreign locations itself. It will bring in energies of meeting people from long distances and building your belief system, your principles, your values, sometimes even religion of foreign cultures. You will be a rebel towards spirituality at times. You will have this ability to challenge. Why Devatas first? Why should they have the nectar first? This Rahu will give you that ability to question, because you are not going to take protocols as given. Yes, you will examine them, you will weigh them, you will see if it is worth its metal or not. And only when you are absolutely sure, then you are going to align to something, or else you will shift shapes. You will move around over the years of your life. Now this Rahu is going to make you breaking norms. You might change your religion as well. This, and remember, Ketu is in the third axis. So you might be born into one religion, but you might convert into something else. Or from a biological perspective, you could have a father who's coming in from a different background, different community than your mother. The parents could be from different backgrounds, or their value system could be very different from which is what we've seen in belief system, in value system, or in religion perspective, as I'm trying to call out. This Rahu is also going to give you a lot of illusion, confusion, because you are having this constant puzzle of choosing the path you want to choose or follow the system that you want to believe in. Sometimes you end up questioning that, is everyone around me right and I'm the odd one out and I could be wrong? Or vice versa. You become much more arrogant about that process. Rahu's sign dispositor is going to help us confirm that. It makes you not very outspoken, but you know when to talk, what to talk. And it can also provide you the ability to pursue education, even from your school, university days itself. You could go and study abroad. Especially the possibility of this increases, by the way, because it's a ninth house connection. It is for post graduation, PhD kind of scholarly engagements. Then that possibility is higher. And if you have some sort of a Jupiter connection as well, uh, it heightens to the next level. Many of you might have observed that in your chart, would either be planning to do that or have already done it. If you have, then please write down your comments and share. And if it is worthwhile, guys, smash on that like button, and with that, we will talk about the famous, the most wanted Rahu in the 10th house. Rahu in the 10th house is, I think, one of the most famous Rahus on YouTube, at least. But yes, I think this Rahu comes with his reputation, and that reputation is due. This Rahu knows smart work. He is a clever bear. He is going to cast that innovation. He is going to break norms when it comes to taking head on karma, which means this can make you workaholic. It can make you obsessed. It can make you crazy in the ambition, in the desire of how much you can work, how much you can put into it to accomplish your desires, this manifestation of this Rahu as well. And this Rahu can work with madness without the expectation of outcome, because he's not connected directly to 11. But yes, because he is the natural owner of the 11th house, that connection innately also. And that is why you will realize that people with this presence of Rahu in the 10th are either, very hardworking people, or they will not know when to draw the line or where to draw the line in terms of their ambitions and goals. And thereby they end up becoming very successful as well. Yes, you have to see the strength of 10th Lord here, the dispositor here, as to how they are doing. What is the situation of Saturn in your chart will also be very important in this case. But it will give you a very high probability with Rahu in 10th of having goals and ambitions at some point in time in your life, no matter what your background, and they will be big. You would want to change the situation for you, your family, people around you. You want to explore what or reach at a point which others thought is not meant for you. The Devatas decided no, elixir and nectar is something we will have first. But you chose to, by hook or by crook, to achieve it. And I see beauty in this. I don't have Rahu in 10th, but I see beauty in this. Because this Rahu is ambitious. He wants to achieve it, and somewhere not just driven by the outcome, but for the sheer process of following it. And that is why this Rahu gets the support of Ketu as well. Please listen to the Ketu section as well. You will connect the dots better and find out who is your 10th Lord. Where is he sitting? Mars, Sun, Jupiter, Moon, whatever, Venus. So it will give you a lot of clarity from that perspective as to how your public image, your career, your karma is going to pan out through the course of the life, your reputation, the respect and adulation that you gain. And that is going to also reflect in your money, in your saving, in the connections that you form. And because you are so laborious in terms of your karmas, means obstacles are, even if coming, they wouldn't bother you. So the ninth aspect of Rahu explains that to the sixth house, that you will keep overcoming the obstacles, the challenges. They might give you more karma, but you enjoy doing karma. So you are lethal on that aspect as well. And that is why 2, 6, and 10 combination of Rahu are strong combinations of Rahu. They are working in trine, they are operating in trine. And the order is actually like that: 10, 6, and 2nd in terms of priority that I would pick. And this is a powerful Rahu. Now, when Rahu comes into the 11th house, 11th house Rahu is a Rahu which has come to his natural house of exaltation, ownership in the sign of Aquarius. So, yes, the dispositor becomes important. Yes, Saturn's presence also in your chart becomes important. But the most important bit is Rahu himself is in 11th. So, when Rahu himself is in 11th, now the magnitude, the magnification, the expansion of your desires is going to be unfathomable. People will be surprised, perplexed, impressed to the levels that you are ready to go to achieve your desires and goals. They will be big. You will be highly materialistic in nature. And yes, that is why your karmic lessons would also be one of the most challenging ones. It is the 5-11 axis. The Lord of the house of Punya is already connected with you here in this Rahu. And you must listen into the Ketu video as well. So you'll be able to connect the dots and understand that bit better. But it is a battle of achieving those goals, desires, ambition, because Rahu now really wants to amplify what he's got. So it depends as to what drives you in life. And that is the kind of path you will be embarking upon. But the smokiness of Rahu, the illusion of Rahu will somewhere give you some lessons too. It's a give and take relationship that I keep telling that in the Mahadasha of Rahu also I talked about it. He will give you from one hand and then he will take you from the other side as well. So he'll induce those lessons as well, that pain as well, inflict that pain as well to you. You could have elder brothers more than yourself. You could have a very large friend network. It could take you into the company of people at international levels as well, because your friend network could be by foreign connection. And that is why this Rahu can also help you settle abroad. Many people do not realize this. Okay. So this Rahu, even though he is not in the 12th, but he can take you abroad. Now, when Rahu is in the 12th house, this Rahu is into the house of exit. It is into the house where it has to set departure. It is the natural house of foreign connections, and Rahu denotes foreign. So I don't want to give a number, but almost all scenarios I've noticed that post your marriage, it is going to be your spouse. Post your marriage, you will definitely see a shift of region. You will uproot from one place and you will move somewhere else. Post your marriage, now this doesn't mean it happens next day, next month, next week, but marriage will be the trigger. That will be the event in your life which will activate this Rahu to take you into a foreign land and settle in a foreign land. Now, that could be a foreign country, it could be a foreign culture, it could be a foreign language area that you speak. So, somebody if is moving from Germany to um, England is a huge, it's an international movement, but that could be a very small interstate movement in China, India, or US, right? So, but can still induce difference in culture, difference in food that would come into play. And that is where you will see that post marriage, marriage is going to be the event which will uproot you from one place and it will take you to the other. Now, the other point that you will notice is that this is going to be a Rahu which can bring in you into professions that are related to import, export, dealing in foreign matters, foreign affairs, international affairs of some sorts, travel related businesses or jobs where you have to do continuous trading between two countries, two regions, traveling around yourself as well. All those kind of professions will become extremely prominent for you. You will have to also see where is your dispositor going. If your dispositor itself, say Venus, is going into some other house, you need to go and check back the Venus video or the Jupiter video and see where is that 12th lord going. And then you will understand the behavior of how the foreign impact can come in your life. And in fact, you can find success in life through this research, this activity that I'm telling you. You will be able to connect the dots as to what will be the right trigger of success in your life if you are not already aligned there. But Rahu in 12th is going to find a very strong foreign connection too. It is going to bring you the ability to overcome your enemies, unknown challenges, problems that come to your life, you will be able to overcome them as well as your spiritual belief system could be foreign or different from your religion or belief in which you were born. Now, this necessarily may not result into a change in religion, but you will have some sort of an influence upon yourself or some sort of an innate connection to find learnings from other belief systems as well. It can bring a very flirtatious character to a person. This Rahu is sitting in the house of sleep, bedroom pleasure. So you would want to do a lot of, let's say, exposure in terms of understanding what brings you happiness before you settle into something. So you will take unusual decisions in your life related to sexuality, sexual affairs, romantic affairs, and stuff, which are not considered normal as well. Now, this Rahu will also bring tendencies of spending and spending on intoxication products, indulgence products, spending in terms of luxurious items as well, digital products. You are a person who likes to change his phone, his camera pretty often, her laptop screen pretty often. So that sort of a tendency and expenses will also come into this now. But all in all, it is one of the decent combinations. It definitely, I mean, I have seen majority of the charts that the people have shifted after marriage somehow or the other. And it might take few years into marriage, but it has inevitably happened. Couples settle abroad when this event of marriage occurs, when when Rahu is in the 12th house. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this effort. I have been pretty tired. I've been short of breath whilst recording this video as well today. But I did not want to be lazy. I've been pretty busy and I wanted to make sure that I put this content and I share it out tonight with you guys. If you've liked the effort, please like, subscribe, Devastrology, and promoting my channel. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for watching.